Dante is back, and he's brought a couple ladies with him this time.
Come on, babes, let's rock!
This is Devil May Cry 4. Don't go away. So Devil May Cry 4. Kind of a tough task because it's coming off of Devil May Cry 3, which was, I'll say it, my favorite and arguably the best Devil May Cry I've played up to that point. So what does Devil May Cry 4 have to offer? Well, let's find out. First thing to note, right off the bat, I love how consistent Devil May Cry is as a franchise. Through Devil May Cry 1, 2, 3, and out of 4, it's the exact same. The gameplay loop goes as explore, get locked in a room with a red seal. Red seal means kill all enemies to break it. Get locked in a room with the blue seal. Blue seal means puzzle, boss fight, end mission. I think a lot of people would say that this is like some copy and paste thing, but I mean, Devil May Cry 1 through 4, all of them are very distinctly different while also having the exact same identity. So I'll reiterate what I said for Devil May Cry 2 and 3 is Devil May Cry 4 is exactly what I want out of a sequel. Have it be a different game than the previous, but keep the exact same identity. And the first big shakeup really here is you're playing as not Dante for the first time. The starting up menu will give you an option of who you want to play as, and the obvious option is to play as Nero/Dante. So in comes Nero, the up and coming new kid who has got some stuff to prove. You do play as Dante halfway through the game, you switch characters and play as Dante, but before I go into anything else, I want to talk gameplay and combat specifically because it is so fun.
Man, you can really only get 2 attacks before his shield's back up. Yo, bitch!
I think Devil May Cry 4 gets the combos down the best it's ever been. Because of that, the combat rank style thing on the side, from A to S to SS to SSS, seems a lot more reasonable to hit. While in previous games there was combos and stuff, but it felt a little more button spammy in some areas, but here, I felt like I never button spammed. I was always just throwing combos out of my mind. And while you don't get as many different physical weapons or swords to play around with as Devil May Cry 3, you do get some new toys and tools to play around with. Nero, for example, has like a basically motorcycle throttle on his sword that charges it up.
I got this. Now that's cool.
Nero also has like this arm snatcher thing, which you can pull enemies towards you, and in close quarters, if you click O, you will do like a WWE slam move, which is dependent on every enemy, because every enemy has a different animation for the O snatcher move.
Get the fuck out of here.
Devil Trigger here, I will say, is interestingly nerfed pretty heavily. I gotta say this. Devil Trigger always felt like God mode before. You could still take damage, but you always felt so powerful. Here, Devil Trigger didn't really seem as strong. That's not really a positive or negative, really. But halfway through the game, when you do switch to Dante, the combos change up. So it's a whole new, refreshing take. And I mentioned before about how the gameplay progression is the same. Red seals, blue seals, the puzzles, boss fight, cutscenes, exploration. it has some differences here. Two great examples is that one of the puzzles is a gyro blade. You kick it to start it up, and then you punch it again, it goes flying. There are specific statues that can only be broken by these gyro blades, so punching these things around like it's a ginormous golf ball in this like little castle is kind of really fun. But the coolest example of a puzzle I have to tell the audience here, I gotta say, is the board game. It's kind of like Snakes and Ladders. You start at the bottom, you hit the dice block with whatever move you want. I don't think it matters. Roll the dice between 1 and 6, and the character on this colorful looking board moves.
A 6-off drop. Not bad. Look at all the fucking enemy spots though.
Land on a red spot, enemies will spawn. Land on a yellow spot, you will teleport like it is a snake or a ladder. Land on a blue spot, and that is the reward spot. Multiple orbs and health will drop. Land on a white spot, and nothing happens. This was the coolest thing ever. It felt like a simple Mario Party board got like imported into Devil May Cry.
I needed literally
It was like the coolest, like trying to calculate, I need like a 3 or a 5, and I gotta avoid the red, just see what the dice roll hits.
1, okay, 1, 2, 3, and 5 are fine. Okay, I did say 5.
So I think Devil May Cry 4 has the most satisfying combat here. But at least when it compares to Devil May Cry 3, the previous entry, it lacks pretty hard in the character department. I knew coming in you couldn't top Virgil from Devil May Cry 3 as being a villain. In here, in 4, you get, I don't know, this Pope guy. He's the father of Nero's girlfriend, so at least he has some sort of like reason to be here. In fact, I liked his secretary more as a villain just because of how this guy looks and how he acts and talks. He's just kind of funny.
That arrogant kid possesses demonic power!
Absurd.
Absurd! Don't play me a fool! Is he not your subordinate? He resurrected Yamato!
And you're also missing fun side characters like the Joker from Devil May Cry 3 and Lady, which, by the way, guess what? I said this back in my Devil May Cry 2. I wanted Trish back in the game. Devil May Cry 1 like ended off, and I was like, oh, I wonder what the story is for Dante and Trish. We finally get to see it.
Sorry, religion and I don't mix.
It's a small
But you don't really get a lot, like at all. Trish and Lady are both here with Dante, and they are more to the sideline than I would ask at all. And that's kind of why when I say that we're missing great side characters in Devil May Cry 4, like there was in Devil May Cry 3, such as Joker and Lady, even though Lady is here, she was, in my opinion, an actual character in Devil May Cry 3. So on the presentation, I will say this is the first notable graphic upgrade. If I remember right, this game came out in 2008, which sort of sidelines me into my next thing, which is it's 2008, which is impressive to have fixed camera angles.
So top.
Fixed camera angles, semi-fixed camera angles, over the shoulder, you get the whole mix here, which is crazy because Capcom stopped doing fixed camera angles for the Resident Evil famous franchise of fixed camera angles in 2005. So to see in 2008 Devil May Cry still keeping them kind of makes you wonder why they didn't keep some of the angles for Resident Evil 5, Capcom's game coming out the year after. And I hope this doesn't come across as a negative, but everything is the same. Every sound effect from previous games, soundtracks are extremely similar. The physical design of things, the enemies are all basically the exact same. And I really don't mind that one bit. I also can't find an argument with the cutscenes here. There isn't as many over-the-top, and I mean like over-the-top action scenes as there was in Devil May Cry 3. There's still a lot here. There's just more notable ones in previous entries. With the huge props I have to give here for Devil May Cry 4, not only does it have the best combat in the series, it has the best level design. To give perspective, there's an upgrade here that's super cheap, and I think the game wants you to buy it pretty early on because of how cheap it is. It's the Sprint. Sprint is unlockable in this game. I never unlocked Sprint in this game because I had no problem just kind of jogging around the levels. Everything was interesting to look at, very filled. Like the inside of these castles are very filled to the brim with paintings and chairs and knight statues and stuff to look at. But you also get extreme versions of other areas. The winter area, you get the shipyard area, you get the mining area, you get my favorite, the jungle area.
It's either that way or this way. I'm gonna try this way.
It's hard to tell what my favorite part of DMC4 was, whether it's the combat or the level design. So, overall impact, Devil May Cry 4, personally, is a tale of two sides. On one side, I think it's the most enjoyable, fun Devil May Cry that I've played. On the other side, it's being weighed down quite heavily by the repetitiveness and the pretty clunky ending. I say clunky ending because the pacing was so weird. I don't know if I'm like eyeball lasering this too much, but you see, once you switch to Dante halfway through the game, you basically go through every area you've already done. Okay, fine. I love the level design. I love the combat. I didn't even think twice about it. But you also face the exact same bosses. Okay, I've already beat them as Nero. I'll beat them as Dante as well. I already know how to beat him. It goes quicker, you know the movesets. Let's see how this goes. Then you get to the final boss, this giant statue dude, and you switch back to Nero. Okay. That's when you play through every boss again. And this was so weird of a decision to me, where you just played through the same bosses twice, every one of them. And then you got to beat him a third time. And it's not even like any story related thing. You just beat him and then they just drop orbs and then you teleport back out to the next boss. What? Then you actually face off with the Pope, is what I call them. You end up killing him. Cutscenes ensues. I would assume this is the end of the game. But then you get back into gameplay. But you only get back into gameplay for like 10 seconds and you just like counter him twice. It's like a worse version of a QuickTime event. It's not even really that huge, but I thought I'd mention it. And I should also mention this. When you finish the game, you can also play through Trish and Lady's side of the story. Wow. I mean, Capcom has done stuff like this in previous, with Separate Ways being in Resident Evil 4. Play through Leon, then play through Ada's campaign. Separate Ways is awesome. There are a few areas that you backtrack through as Ada, but for the majority of the time, you're seeing the story from her side. That's not what you get here at all. You're playing through basically a shortened version of every mission as just a self-inserted new character.
I'm literally draining his health.
Still was not lying when I said this is probably the most enjoyable Devil May Cry. Mostly due to the fact that Devil May Cry 3 had some difficulty spikes that I found frustrating, and with that, I don't have a lot more to talk about. So as Dante would say,
Come on, babes! Let's rock!
7.9 out of 10. So that's it. Devil May Cry 4 is down. Devil May Cry 5 is out there. I actually already have it purchased because I got it on sale. But for the next game I'm playing, I am thinking it's going to be God of War Ragnarok. I'm trying to set myself up for a super intense October. So whatever games I have planned up to that point, I want finished and on the shelf. Because once October hits, we got Metaphor ReFantazio from the game makers of Persona. And then a couple weeks after that, I'll have to like take a break from that game because I won't be finished it and play through Life is Strange Double Exposure, the new Life is Strange game. So October is going to be crazy. But I'll fill the gap from here to October, most likely with God of War Ragnarok, and then probably Life is Strange Before the Storm as like a warm-up to Life is Strange. Plus, it's the only Life is Strange game I've yet to have on my channel as a review. For now, I'm your host, Cyberplanet Entertainment. Hope you enjoyed this review. Peace out.
It's way easier when there's only one guy. Look at the dead. Yo, bitch!
What is up? I know what you're thinking. You're only here for the bonus Easter egg soundtrack I put in at the end of every video. But did you also know I have a donation page under Buy Me a Coffee? Donate whatever you want to my channel and I'll put half of that back to an environmental charity. So that's that. Enjoy the music. Peace out.